it is most of the time is it's people can't take the rejection mentally, and or they think it's going to be a lot easier than it is. But hey guys, we are live right now. Man, Brian Adams here, the contractor's contractor. Dominate your trade. Very special guest with us today, taking his time out to be with us. My friend, four-time Olympian, Ruben Gonzalez. We're going to go through the books. He's going to have you fired up, having you take your business to the next level, teaching you how to dominate not just your trade, but how to dominate your life. So, man, just stick around. I'm excited.
Cool, man.
Right, you're back. You like that? Yeah.
Hey, Brian, so thanks for having me, man. This I can tell it's gonna be fun because we finish each other's sentences.
Yeah, because God, we met 2001 or 2002, a long time ago, and we've both kind of gotten a little older since then. But man, I love every time I've heard your stories over and over again, every time I'm on the edge of my seat waiting for you to say you get goosebumps, and it's like just all of it. But just I just want to let people know what they're in for right now is just the books that you wrote, like the Courage to Succeed, the Inner Game of Success, Fight for Your Dreams, which just the title is just that's all you need. If the book was empty, all you need is the title.
And I put a lot of pictures in case people don't like to read.
Dream, struggle, victory, success secrets for teens. And man, I'm just honored that you did that one, because there's not enough books like that for teenagers. And then how to get where you want to be. We're going to talk about all of those, but just I'm going to let you tell your story. But just Ruben, man, thank you for being here. I just appreciate you setting aside the time. I know you're in beautiful Colorado right now. Last week you were in New York speaking to a group. It's just an honor to have you here, brother. Man, so let's just start from the beginning, like, because you're not born and raised in Colorado.
Mm-hmm. What'd you say?
You were not born and raised in Colorado. You're in Colorado right now.
In Argentina. I was an oil brat. My dad was a chemical engineer with Exxon, and back in 1968, things were getting bad in Argentina. So he realized we got to figure out a way to get out of here. And so we went to, we were in Queens, New York first, Jackson Heights. I was just there a couple of days ago. And we were there for a couple of years. Then we moved to Houston because it's an oil town. And then Venezuela for a few years, back to Houston. I was in Houston for about 30 years, and I could never get used to the heat. Yeah. And 12 years ago, we moved to Colorado Springs, and man, this is heaven. I mean, we got no mosquitoes, no humidity, no traffic. And we got seasons. I've been here for 12 years. I still can't believe how cool seasons are.
And it was, what was it, like 3 weeks ago, maybe 4, but it was probably 3 weeks ago. You were posting pictures of the snow still.
Yeah, remember that? I mean, it's crazy weather here. I mean, it can be, snowing in the morning and then it's 80 degrees in the afternoon. It's nuts. But I really like it. We're out in the country, and and I played soccer for my college. I was born in Argentina, so soccer fanatic, but I'm a slowpoke. I'm not a great athlete, and so I was always on the bench. And one year we drove all the way out here and played School of Mines and the Air Force Academy. And they put us up in this cabin in the woods, and I thought, man, this place is awesome. And that's when I thought,
hey, did everybody else feel like that, or just you?
No, I think a lot of people here feel that like that. Yeah. And so one dream leads to another. I mean, you don't know. I mean, if you just run to daylight, right, like football players do, man, you can make your life an adventure. And so I learned to read to speak English by reading books. I love to read adventure books, 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea, Around the World in 80 Days, all these books about kids that led adventurous lives. And I already had them in Spanish. My parents bought them all in English, hired a tutor and, put it all together. That's how I learned English. And I'd take these books to school with me, show them to my friends. I said, man, I want my life to be like a book, right? Kind of funny. What do you mean? I said, I want my life to be an adventure. And so I always had the antennas looking for the adventure. And when I was 10, I see the Olympics on TV for the first time, and I was hooked, right? And I was drawn to the Olympic athletes. Yeah. And what drew me to them wasn't their athleticism. it was their spirit, their heart. Because right away I realized, man, this is a group of people that are willing to train for years and years and years, no guarantees of success, and then some will make it. I mean, you got to be so strong to put yourself through that. It's kind of like before you clicked on this show. Well, we were talking about immigrants, right? And that's that same spirit, right? Willing to fight for your dream. And so I just want to be like them. It wasn't even about medals for me. I just want to be one of those guys. But I didn't believe it was possible because I'm the last kid picked for PE all the time. I mean, I was on the bench for kickball, right? A lot of heart, but no body. I know, man. And so I didn't do anything. I just talked about it. After a couple of years, my dad got tired of me just talking the talk, but not walking the walk. And he did something really smart. He said, you like to read books. Why don't you read some biographies? You'll study the lives of great people. You'll figure out what works and what doesn't work in life, because success leaves clues.
Yeah, good for him.
Success leaves clues. That's pretty good. I mean, I don't have to make all the mistakes by myself. So I started reading them. I liked them right away because they're true life adventures. After a while, I realized it's always the same story, right? It's the story somebody had a dream, then they had a struggle, and then they had a victory, right? I named one of the books after that, Dream, Struggle, Victory, because that's the path you have to take. And then I started looking for what's one thing all these people have in common, right? I can't work on 20 things, but maybe I can work on one. What I kept seeing was perseverance, right? Stick-to-itiveness, tenacity. And, they were basically hardheads. There was a bunch of hardheads. I mean, some of these people, like 20 years, they're banging their head on a wall. But if they didn't quit, they either figured it out on their own through sheer trial and error, or they ran to somebody, became their coach, their mentor. That right? I mean, if they were a contractor, got tired of making all these mistakes on their own, finally they run into you and you become their mentor, right? Yeah. And so, but that was always. But the ones that quit, you never hear about those, right? And
no, they don't write those. They don't write the books about them.
No, they're really short biographies, right? You thought about it, didn't do anything, right? So, my mom always called me a hardhead, right? And that was almost my nickname at home. So I thought, hey, maybe I have a little bit of what it takes, right? I got to develop it. So I made a decision. At 12 years old, I made a decision from today on. Ruben doesn't quit anything. And I realized
at 12 years old, you made that decision.
Yeah, because I started reading books around that time, and I made a decision, right? If that's there's no guarantees, right? But at least you still got a shot. You're still in the game, so it's a no-brainer. So success, guys, success is a decision. You got to draw. You got to get mad. Sooner or later, you get so mad, you just draw that line in the sand, and you say, "Man, I will until," right? And it's kind of like Rocky, right? Rocky, remember Rocky? Rocky 1, man, he's getting knocked down, and then he gets pissed off, right? And they start playing this music, and he's like, I ain't going down no more. And something good's gonna happen, right? So you gotta have the Rocky moment. Don't throw in the towel. No. Get back up and win the fight, win your fight. Right? And so I started reading these books. And then the other thing my dad said was, it's the books you read, people you hang around with. Those two things will determine whether you reach that dream or not. And so he says, you want to hang around successful people. You want to hang around people that have already done what you want to do. That's the easiest way. That's the shortcut, right? In fact, I'm writing a book now. It's almost finished now. It's called The Shortcut. And I
love that.
The shortcut to success is find the right leader, right? That means somebody's already done what you want to do. Number 2, follow the leader, right? Humble yourself, let go, do what they say right away, and then eventually you'll be the leader, right? And so it started from that right behind me, that follow the leader TEDtalk.com. I did this TED Talk a few months ago, and everybody got so into the idea of following the leader that I thought, hey, I'll write a parable book. I've never done that before, and it was a stretch, right? But you know what I did? I'd never written fiction. All my books are how-to books, right? So I'm looking at them right there. I got about 20, pretty much every parable, fable book that's ever been written, and I started reading them, right? I mean, fast, right? And I wake up a couple of weeks later, I wake up in the middle of the night, and it all came together in my head. And I realized, hey, I'll use my friends, my coaches, my luge buddies, right? Those will be the characters because I already know how they are. I don't have to invent that, and they'll be the mentors that teach this kid, how he needs to, start listening to following the leader. And so,
Man,
anyways,
that's exciting.
yeah, I'm pumped. And so,
Yeah. We're gonna turn this into a movie, doggone it.
let's hope so. And so, anyways, but that's how the mind works, If you focus on something, you're at night, the mind starts percolating, and you wake up in the middle of the night, you get these great ideas, right? And
Yeah.
so surround yourself with those people that already know what you want to do. My dad used to say, if you have to cross a minefield, it probably makes sense to follow somebody who's already crossed it. Okay.
Yes.
You
Yes.
just follow their footsteps.
Yeah.
Simple
Step
stuff.
here,
Okay?
step there. Yeah.
And so I started following. It was a struggle, right? Because I thought, man, I don't belong here. These successful people, but I did, and it started rubbing off on me. And they think differently. They ask different questions, like, why not me? Why not now? Why not? I mean, those are great questions to ask yourself. Get your mind thinking about the possibilities, right? And so over a period of time, over 10 years, 10, 11 years, I'm reading good books, listening to, hanging around winners. And I didn't know this, but I'm growing from the inside out. I'm growing. I'm taking bigger risks. I'm believing in myself more. You tell somebody, believe in yourself. That sounds good, but it's worthless. I just showed you how to believe in yourself. Read good books and hang around winners, right? And a little time. And so now, fast forward a few years, I'm a bench warmer on my soccer team, my college soccer team. I tried out. I was a walk-on. I played 5 minutes a game. Coach said, you only get to play for winning by 2 goals because you're a threat to our own team. I mean, that's what he said.
Wow.
Yeah, he's a real motivator.
Hey, so what made you think you could just walk on and try it out? I mean, you got to try. I mean, it's like, because you went to a Baptist university, right?
You got a good memory. Yeah, Houston Baptist University.
Houston. Okay. Yeah.
And back then they had an NCAA Division I soccer team. And so, anyways, so I'm on the bench basically, and the Olympics roll around again, 1984 Sarajevo games, and I'm watching them on TV, and I see this little guy about 5'1", must have weighed 110 pounds, soaking wet, and this kid wins the gold medal in figure skating, Scott Hamilton.
I remember that.
In fact, I just got to meet him. I had a speaking engagement in Nashville where he lives. And 38 years later, I finally got to meet him. We hung out in a coffee shop for a couple of years. In fact, when we're done here, I'll go and I'll post a picture that we shot, both of them. You'll see how little he is. I'm 6 feet and he's tiny. But anyways, he wins the gold medal. And so everything changed when I saw him. He gave me hope. I thought to myself, if that guy can win, I can at least play. I'll be in the next Olympics. It's a done deal. I just got to find a sport. Right? And it was scary. I was so sure. And it made no sense. Okay. I mean, I've been playing soccer all my life and I'm a bench warmer. But that's the power of belief. I mean, I just believe it was possible. So now I got a goal with a deadline, right? In 4 years, I'm either in or out. So got no time to waste. I went to the library, got a big book about the Olympics, and I'm looking for a sport. There's all these Germans are already good at my sport. I don't even know what it is. That's quite a problem there, Brian.
Yeah. And we didn't have the internet. You hear that, ladies and gentlemen? He had to go to the library to get a book on it. He wasn't Googling it.
Oh, no. Yeah, that's right.
No.
Oh, yeah. And so I look at the list of the summer sports. It took me 5 minutes to realize, forget it, man. You got to be Superman doing any of these things. No way. And I got a little down. And then I started looking at the winter sports, and it's like my analytical side of my brain woke up. And I thought, hey, I'm about to put together a plan for the next 4 years. Probably would make sense to base the plan on my strengths, right? Socrates said, know thyself, right? That's a really good advice. What are your strengths? Base it on that and then hire everything else out. And so, my strength's not athleticism. I'm just an okay athlete. But my nickname in high school was Bulldog because I was so tenacious. Kids started calling me Bulldog. And so I'm Bulldog. So I need to find a sport that's so tough. A sport's got so many broken bones in it, it'd be a lot of quitters, right? I won't quit. And so now I'm looking for tough sports: ski jump, bobsled, luge. I live in Houston, Texas. I never skied before. All the ice out there is in your iced tea, man. So that's ski jump. That's suicide. Forget it. Bobsled. I mean, who are you going to find 3 other nuts in Houston? I go to Jamaica for that, right? So that left the luge. And so I'd never seen the luge on TV at that point in my life. If I'd have seen it, I don't think I'd have done it. I just had a little picture of a guy on a luge, and I thought that's the one for me. I didn't even know where the track was.
Wow.
And so I thought, man, nobody in Houston's going to know where the track is.
Yeah.
Sports Illustrated, it's their job to know. So I wrote them a letter, right? They didn't have emails back then. I wrote them a letter, a really, really good letter. Where do you go learn how to luge? Signed, Ruben. Boom. Bottom line. They actually wrote back, and they said Lake Placid, New York. And they sent me this picture of a guy on a luge. I'm looking at it right there. I mean, this is 40 years later. It's right there. Wow. As soon as I got this picture of this guy on the luge, I put it in the frame, stuck it right in front of my bedroom. First person I saw in the morning was the Luge Man. And he reminded me, hey, I'm going for the Olympics. Got to eat right. Got to work out. Got to read good. Yeah. And so at night, before I shut off the lights, last person I saw was the Luge Man, right? So
Luge Man.
What do you think I dreamt about at night, right?
Luge,
yeah, I kept it in front of me. Keep your goals in front of you, man. Otherwise, life happens, okay? Life happens. All those little urgent things every day, they mess up your dream. I mean, 6 months go by, years go by, year and a half, and then you realize, oh, man, I was training for the Olympics. That's right. I just blew a year and a half. I mean, that sounds stupid, but that's how it works.
No, that's how it is. That's it.
Yeah, so keep them in front of you. Talk to people about your dream. Become known for your dream, right? Where other people are asking you, hey, how's it going? You getting closer? You know, if you become known for your dream, man, that's like it's a little pressure, right? You gotta
it is.
So I go to Lake Placid. First, I call the guy. I told him I'm an athlete here in Houston. I want to learn how to luge. I'm in the Olympics. The guy starts laughing. He says, well, actually, how old are you? 21. That's when the laughing started. He says, you're too old, man. I mean, we start them off when they're 8, 9, 10 years old. By now, you have 10 years experience. No way. I don't know what to do.
Yeah.
The only thing I knew was hanging up the phone. That's not an option, right? That'd have been the end of the dream. So I just kept talking to him. I just kept talking. And finally, he got fed up, I guess. He goes, well, we got a beginner's camp in a couple of weeks. Be there. But before you come to Lake Placid, you know 2 things. Number 1, you want to do it at your age. You want to do it in just 4 years. It's brutal. 9 out of 10 people quit. When you said that, I started smiling. I thought, whoa, this is awesome. Works right into my plan, right?
Yeah. That's what I'm looking for. Something hard that everybody quits.
Yeah, man. He's trying to talk me out of it. And I'm getting excited. And so, and then he goes, expect to break some bones. And I said, great. And he gets real quiet and goes, what's wrong with you, man? Are you nuts? I told him, look, I hope it's 10 times harder what you're telling me, okay? The harder it is, the easier it is for me. Because I'm not a quitter. I'm bulldog, okay? And so I was praying that it'd be so hard that some of these Germans would quit. I didn't pray hard enough, man. They show up, they win, they take their medals, and they don't even smile. It's like, where am I going to put this one? I'm out of room. But I went up there a couple of months after I saw Scott Hamilton on TV. I'm in Lake Placid at a beginner's class learning on wheels. And then they teach you on. But before I hung up the phone. And kind of like the reality of what he told me kind of hit, right? He said, man, he didn't say I might break some bones. He says, I will.
You will.
How am I going to handle it? What am I going to do when I break a bone? And I thought, broken bones before. You wear a cast for 6 weeks. You take it off. It's healed up. It's actually stronger than before. So when you think about it, it's a temporary inconvenience. So I reframed it. And I had a contingency plan. I knew how I was going to handle it, right? And so I'm really glad that he didn't candy coat it. Because he could have said, piece of cake, man. I mean, think of this. What other Olympic sport? You're laying down, you're going downhill. I mean, it doesn't get any easier than that. No. And as soon as I had a wreck, I would have run. No, he made it hard. That gave me an opportunity to put on mental armor, right? Yes. So what do? You have to prepare for the worst. You have to think about the worst case scenario. That's not being negative. That's being smart.
No, that's
right?
being smart.
You prepare for the worst and then you pray for the best, right? But you have to have contingency plans. When we train, one of the things we do before an actual training run or before an actual race run, about 10 minutes before, we start taking a few mental runs, right? We call them mind runs. And at that time, right before you're actually going to go on the ice, we're visualizing the perfect run, right? You want to get that groove up in your head. But at the hotel room, it's different. We don't do this every day, but we visualize when we get to a new track, for example, we haven't been there since last year. We visualize escape routes. What am I going to do? I'm a little late into curve 1. What am I going to do if I'm a little early into curve one? What do I hit the left wall before curve one? What do I hit the right? So how am I going to fix it, right? And what about curve two? And you go through the whole track trying to visualize and come up with an answer. And if you're in sales, that's studying objections. What am I going to do if they say this? What am I going to do if they say that? Right? If you're in business,
yes, it is. It is. Yeah,
it's the same thing. And so what happens now? You get to a point that helps your confidence, because you get to a point where you realize, hey, I can handle anything that can happen down there. I'm prepared. I did my homework. Right. So a lot of people think that losers are daredevils and thrill seekers, but the adrenaline junkies, they are gone after the first year. I mean, they're off to base jumping or something else. They just want the ones that make it are very analytical, and they're very engineered types, kind of like what do they call them? Test pilots. Test pilots are all engineers. I mean, they got to do this maneuver, but then they have to write reports about what the plane did, how the G-forces affected the drag, etc. And so, no, we're very analytical, and we do our homework, and that's why to survive.
Man.
So I got to go. So the first 2 years, brutal, right? Because they took 10 years worth of training, and they compressed it, right? They crammed it into just 2 years. That's why you said you can get a lot. But the reason was because then they threw me into the wolves. Basically, they threw me into the World Cup circuit, because now I have to start competing against the best in the world. I'm just a beginner, really. I mean, I'm about as good as a 16-year-old who just got the driver's permit, and now they put him. Okay, now you're gonna have to race Mario Andretti at the Indy 500, right? That's what it was like.
How long did you like? You said the first one was on. It was the luge was like wheels or something going down like a dry track or something.
Yeah, it's in the spring. Early summer, and so the ice is gone, and so we're going from the half-mile point of the old bobsled track on wheeled sleds. We're hitting 50, 55 miles an hour, and this is just to learn the basics of driving a sled. Right, you got really great traction, right, because you're on wheels. But all we're wearing is tennis shoes, shorts, and a t-shirt. Okay,
no knee pads, no helmets, no.
We had a helmet, but that's just for decoration. It doesn't help, man. If you're crashing 55 miles an hour on the concrete, you're toast. And they call it the weeding out process in the sport of luge. And so they put me in a class with 15 other guys, and they're quitting left and right, and they all had great reasons, right? I mean, it's my family. It's too expensive. I don't like the luge. Well, I didn't like it either. I was killing myself out there, right? Yeah. But I didn't focus on that I didn't like the luge. I focused on the luge is the vehicle. The Olympics is the dream. This is probably the only vehicle to get me to the Olympics. So I better, hang on, right?
Yeah.
I would have rather done it on, playing ping pong or something like that. But there's no way. I mean, there's 10-year-old Chinese kids that can whoop me at ping pong. Okay? So that wasn't going to happen. So anyways, so you focus on the dream. You don't focus on, the successful people. Yeah. They talk about and they think about what they want to happen. Unsuccessful people, they talk about and they think about what they don't want to happen. And whatever you talk about and think about comes about, right? So, so talk about the good stuff. Right? What you're going to do, what you want to happen. Because there's going to be obstacles. That's part of the deal, okay? But if you focus on the dream gives you strength and power and everything you need to bust through those obstacles. So I went, and the first 2 years, I'm learning the basics. We were only on wheels for 2 weeks. I'd never do wheels again. Without pads. And then we went to ice, right, that next winter. And boy, the difference between wheels and ice is just like the difference between walking and skating. I mean, that's all over the place. I mean, it was very frustrating because I couldn't figure out. So they put you on, let's say a track has 15 curves. So they'll put you on curve 12, okay? Yeah. And you're going 20, 30 miles an hour. And you crash. Finally, your brain figures it out. As soon as you figure it out, coach moves you up a couple of curves. Oh, my gosh, 40 miles an hour. There's no time to think. Crash. Figure it out, move you up a couple of curves. And you literally crash your way to the top. It takes about 100 runs. And you get to the top, and now it doesn't mean you made it. I mean, now you got to fine-tune. I mean, this is the only sport time to the 1/1000th of a second. Everything counts, okay? Even your breathing counts. If you get the hiccups, man, you have a rough ride. If you hold your breath, you're a half a second slower. I mean, that's a 500 1,000th of a second. That's
Man, that's like you're talking fine details.
Yeah,
that's just
everything counts. Everything counts.
Wow.
How you hold the handles. I mean, it's crazy. Yeah. Everything. Anyways, so you're just trying to pick up, tips from all the different people because nobody tells you enough to where you'll beat them, right? But you're trying to pick up tips from everybody. Hopefully, it'll add up.
Let me ask you this: was there any other 21-year-olds just starting out, or trying to learn to luge?
Not back then. I mean, it's pretty rare because
it's got to be.
The ones that make it, they start young. They start really young. I mean, my coach, my first coach, his name is Dimitri. I just talked to him on the phone today. We all still keep in touch, and he was from Ukraine, and he's been with the U.S. team 40 years now. And then my next coach, so the U.S. helped me get to the first Olympics, which was Calgary '88. Then I became part of this international team that had a coach that was a three-time world champion and 4-time Olympian. Okay, this guy was. There's doubles luge. Okay, there's two guys on a sled. Yeah. Only the top guy can see, but they're each doing half of the driving. And the top guy's giving the bottom guy shoulder signals, and they better drive in concert because So he was
almost seems impossible.
I know. He was a doubles luge guy. He won 3 world championships with 3 different partners. He was the common denominator. I mean, no one's ever done that. It's kind of like imagine a figure skating couple, right? And they win 3 world championships, but with different people,
with different, with a different partner. Yeah.
And so anyway, so he's our coach, Austrian guy, and his standards were so high. I mean, nothing you do is good enough. I mean, the best. He helped me get through the next 2 Olympics, and then he retired. But the best comment I got from Coach was, Ruben, that was not so bad. I mean, if he said, Ruben, that was not so bad, man, it's party time.
I made it. It's like Rocky at the top of the steps.
Oh my gosh.
So they didn't baby you and tell you, oh, good job, Ruben. Yeah, you're doing great, Ruben.
Here's your ribbon. Here's your 28th place ribbon.
No, none of that.
Don't get me started. And so anyways, Coach, man, first time
you say don't get you started, but in all reality is like too many kids right now, too many. And when I say kids, I mean like probably 30 years and younger have been given ribbons. You can't fake self-esteem. You can't like give self-esteem. It has to be earned. You had to, look what you went through, man.
There we go. Man. No, and it goes back to what we were talking before we went on the air. Immigrants, they're the tough one in their family, right? They're the ones that are willing to leave everything behind with no guarantees of success, cross into another land with a different language. And I was just in New York, and then you told me that you see this in LA too, how, you'll see there's the guy with the immigrant. He's got a blanket on the ground. He's selling all kinds of stuff. Right. And then after a couple of years, and he saves, right? He saves everything. There might be 20 living in a room because they're actually sending money back home. Okay. Because he's rich compared to his family at home. Yeah. And then after a few years, now he's got a hot dog stand, right? It's like, man, a push cart, right? It's like, that's like day and light, right? And then a few years later, he's got the truck, right? The restaurant truck, right? Yeah. And then a few years later, he might have a whole fleet of them, or he may have a regular restaurant. But they were willing to pay the price every step of the way. Nobody gave them a ribbon, right?
No. And that's like when I talk to so many contractors, man, when you say you want to go into business for yourself, when you say I'm working for myself, I'm a contractor, I'm this, I'm that, I tell them, I said, now every check that comes in now belongs to the company, not you. You work for the company. You're the company's first employee. You got to set the standards, and you've got to pay yourself way less than what any other company in the neighborhood would pay you. You've got and this is what these guys, like you just said, they're saving. They're like they're sending the money back. But as a contractor, as a business owner, you got to grow the business. And I did it. So I tell people, like you just said, is like learn from my mistakes. Is like I grew up so poor that when I first started making money, I was spending it faster than it came in, but until I learned business skills to where it's like it's not your money. That money belongs to the company, and that you grow the company first. But hey, this guy is do you know Johnny Quinn?
No. I know Johnny Quest, the old cartoon with the worst animation ever.
I wonder who Charlie's talking to. Hey, this guy Charlie that's watching right now, he's in McKinley, Texas. I mean, it's a ways from Houston,
hey,
but
Charlie.
yeah, because a lot of people are living
in Dallas. I actually spoke there in McKinley, Texas, for a little school. Anyways, oh God, what was I going to say?
Hey, so when you got to like
oh yeah,
what was it like your first Olympics? So like, I mean, because when I watch it on TV, like the opening ceremonies and all that stuff, I get chill bumps. I mean, it's just it look. I mean, it's just the way they do it. I don't know. Maybe is TV different or what's it feel like? Or is it everything you hoped it had been?
No, 3D is better. Believe me. Let me backtrack and I'll answer that.
Okay.
One more thing that goes to what we were talking about. Farmers have the same mentality, right? They don't go out and buy a big house. They might live on a trailer, and the money goes to build the barn, right?
Yes.
The barn is the business. And whenever you're driving through Indiana or any farm country, the barn is real big and the house is small. That doesn't mean they're poor. That means they're smart, right?
They're smart. Yep.
And the guy that has the biggest bookcases, more bookcases than than the TV set, right?
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? You're gonna be reading good stuff, or you're just gonna be watching the news and putting bad stuff. So yeah, the Olympics is awesome. I mean, opening ceremony for 80-90% of the athletes, that's the gold medal, right? Because think about it. When NFL starts or the NBA or any league, there's only a couple of teams are gonna, everybody's talking about for the Super Bowl that year, right? Or for the NBA finals. Everybody else either, reconstructing or they'll never be there. And so it's the same in the Olympics. You got the super top athletes, it's probably 5% of the whole group. And then everybody else just happy to be there, happy to get to play with the big boys. And there's this level of respect, no matter whether you're the best or the bottom of the pack, because everybody knows they have to work their tails off to be there, right?
Yeah, that's
level of
100% respect for each other. That's got to be, yeah.
And so that's awesome. We have the best schedule. Men's luge. We race the 2 days after opening ceremonies. And so we have to come in a week before because we have to get our training runs in. So we're the first ones in the Olympic Village. So we make friends with everybody that's working there, with all the volunteers. And so we all get a little special treatment. We get an extra week. And we're done. 2 days after opening ceremonies, we're done. So now we get to watch, everybody else sweat. And the party gets bigger every day because there's more people are there. And then at the end of the closing ceremony, everybody's crying. And then but it's awesome. It's awesome.
But which Olympic was it that you got to carry the torch? Because like your story is inspirational. I mean, it's like no matter what it is like people can look at you and like you said, it's like you're reading all those biographies as a kid. I mean, someone can look even at 19, 18, 20. I mean, they get to look. Someone can say literally, it's like, man, shit. If Ruben can do it, maybe I can do it. I mean, you're just like the story itself. I mean, like you said, as a kid, your life has become that adventure.
Yeah, I used to sell copiers in Houston, and in about a month. And to answer the question, got to carry the Olympic torch. When it came through Kansas City, right before on the way to the Salt Lake City Olympics. Okay, and so that was in fact, I get a call right from them, and they said, "Hey, you've been selected to carry the Olympic torch." It's like 3 months before the Olympics, and I thought, man, why? Right? I'm not even close to the medal, right? And there's going to be 10,000 people carrying it, but only 200 athletes, right? Because they want people from all walks of life, because it's a way to get people pumped up about the Olympics. And so I said, man, well, why'd y'all choose me? And this is because our motto is light the fire within, and you have such an inspirational story. That's why. It's about inspiring other people to get them fired up about their dreams. And so it's great once they come in through Houston. And, and she said December 5th. And I said, I can't do it December 5th. I'm in Innsbruck at a World Cup race. I'm still trying to qualify for the Olympics.
Oh my God.
What about January? I'll be, I'm free January. I'll go anywhere. I'll go to Alaska. I'll walk to Alaska. Just let me take the torch, right? And she goes back and looks and comes back. She says, Kansas City, January 9th. Can you do it? She says, I'm there, right?
Yeah.
So then the first thing I did was across the street. My neighbor back then was Tom, and Tom's one of these positive guys. I might be mowing the lawn, in hot and humid Houston. He had this big conversion van, and he'd wait till I'm mowing the lawn. He'd pull right in front. He'd open up his window and he starts yelling, "I'm gonna see you on TV because you will be a 3-time Olympian." Pulls off, and there's smoke all over the place. And I get all excited. I mow his lawn too, right? Maybe that's why I did it. Tell Tom, he goes, "Man, I got selected. I'm carrying the torch in Kansas City." And he points to the van and he goes, "Road trip. I'm taking you," because he knew.
Oh my God!
He drove me the whole way. Isn't that cool?
That is great. Because you were still like you said, you were still qualifying for the.
You create a dream team. Okay.
Yeah.
People that are positive and they fire you up. They keep you going. All right. I watch Maverick. All right. Well, Maverick's got a dream team. He got a ton of, probably has 500 people working on that plane. Right. Yeah. He happens to be the guy on driving it, right, or flying it. So you think about it. A company, every Fortune 500 company in the world has a board of directors, right? It's a group of advisors. Well, why can't you have your own personal board of directors, right? Yeah. And so, make your own dream team. They'll keep you going.
Yeah. And then, you said something earlier too about the, you got to have a bigger library than your television. Make your library so big it blocks the TV. But I remember, God, years ago, when one of the first times I met my friend, mentor Jim Rohn, he had in one of his speeches or something, he used to always say was like, every successful house, and he used to, back then it was like if the house is over $200,000, they have a library, which now like that's nothing, right? But now anything over $20 million probably has a library. He goes, even if you're in an apartment, take one of your closets, clean it out, make it your library. You gotta read the books. You gotta read the books.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. So looks like Jesse. He just moved to Fort Collins, and he needs some ideas on what? Starting in
a new town, Hardwood, Florida. Just starting over again tomorrow with the knowledge. Let me please. Hey Jesse, I'm gonna answer that later. Go ahead on how to get started with it. But it's almost like you said too, though. Is like it's creating that team and getting the word out and build. Because I tell guys all the time, even if it's like, especially a contractor that just starts, is like. And most of the time they just start, and I wish they wouldn't. You got to save up the money. You got to plan for it. You got to do all this. But it's too late. They're already trying to feed their family, and it's them, and they may have like a part-time helper. And they're real surprised when I tell them the first employee they should hire next is an office manager. And I like it to be some 60-year-old lady that's retired from another construction company and wants to work like 10 hours a week because, she'll treat you like that coach used to treat you. She won't have anything good to say about you. She'll tell you, you need to do this, you need to do that. She'll keep your books in line. She'll answer the phone or call people back. She'll schedule it. It is, man. I'm like, it's because someone needs to work the business. If you're not going to work the business because you're in the field working the trade, someone has to. And that's like, and nowadays, you got the virtual assistants and all these other people that can help you, but you have to build that team. It's like, you're only you're only going to be as successful as the people around you.
No, but that's genius. Hiring somebody that only wants to work part-time, but has years of experience. That's beautiful.
And there's so many of them. I mean, so many of these like grandmoms that they want some extra money for the grandkids, and they don't want no 40-hour. They're done with all of that. But they can put you in. They can keep you in check and put you down the right path. Let me ask you this, because going back to the whole adventure book and like, I don't know, man. I wish there'd be a Ruben Gonzalez movie. I mean, from Argentina all the way up. But I know years ago you ran with the Bulls, and I forgot where I seen it or someone told me or something. I was like, what in the hell is Ruben doing now? Well, how did that happen, man? What was that like?
I read a lot of Hemingway when I was a kid. He put these ideas in my head. And so he talked about running with the Bulls in one of his books. He talks about, he had one of them was about Kilimanjaro. So I climbed Kilimanjaro too. But before in 12 years ago, I finally decided, hey, I'm going to do this thing. So I read 3 books about Pamplona, and Pamplona, Spain. That's where the run is. And I called one of the authors because he'd been running it for about 20 years, right? So he was my 60-year-old lady with experience, right? And I called him up and I said, look, I want to do this thing, but I need some tips, some coaching, okay? I want the Pamplona experience, but I don't want any extra holes in my body. And so he gave me some simple tips, okay? Just like the tip about the old lady, which is great. I never would have thought of that. And that thing's worth that tip's worth millions, okay? And so he said, don't run at the beginning. It's too narrow. The bulls are too fresh. You'll die. Okay, got it. Don't run at the end when we're going into the Coliseum, into the bull ring, because it's really narrow there too, and it's crazy. You'll die. Okay. Don't run in the middle because it's an L, right? It's like you go quarter mile, then it turns, and then quarter mile. And so don't get stuck in that curve because the bulls will smash right into it. They don't even see it coming, and you'll die. He goes, well, who do I stand? He goes, what you do is you go 50 yards past the curve on the right-hand side because it's a right-hand turn. And most of the time, the impulse, right, pushes the bulls to the outside, and they'll go 10 feet away from you. You get the Pamplona experience without any holes. But there's no guarantees, okay? Because when the bulls are together, they're a herding animal. They feel safe. They're cool. But if they get separated, which happens a lot when they all fall on each other on this curve, and so when one of them gets separated, he turns into a madman. He's going after everybody, and then he goes, it's about 3,000 people running at one time, and most of them are drunk, right? And he says the drunks are worse than the bulls, okay, because they're totally unpredictable. So if you feel anybody touching you, you just get yourself space. You can apologize later because they'll grab you and use you as a shield, and they're so scared they won't even remember they did that, right? And so you give yourself space and watch out for them. And he said the sash, you wear all red, all white. You got a red bandana and the red sash. Don't double knot the sash right around your waist, because if you catch a horn, you'll be hitting your head on the cobblestones the whole way, man. That's the worst way to see Spain. Slip knot. And so we get there, everybody's got liquid courage, right? They're all half drunk. They're all got double knots. We're trying to untie them, right? Trying to save a few lives. We found our spot, did it 2 times, survived, and great, made it. Oh, he said, if you fall down, stay down, okay? Because they're short-sighted, and they think you're a boulder. They just hop over you. But you stand back up, pow, right? So they are all real simple things that I never would have thought of, but potentially saved my life. Because you don't know, you're a contractor and you're thinking, this Brian guy sounds pretty cool, and I already got one really good tip, maybe he knows something else. Well,
it is.
Look, you don't know what you don't know. None of us do. And what you don't know can hurt you, right? And so it probably makes sense to, Brian's been through the minefield, right?
Follow the footsteps. It looks like, so what was it like doing the 4th Olympic? I mean, because you're not 21 years old anymore. I mean, if you take a spill on the luge, I mean, I've watched the videos. It ain't fun. I mean, the ice has no forgiveness. It's just it's not like the sponge of an octagon.
No, it never hurts. It never hurts, man. Over the years, I broke my foot twice, my knee, my elbow, my hand, my thumb, a couple of ribs, everything on this side. All different crashes. And so
why one more time, like a Rocky movie, one more time?
I had a different motivation for all of them. The first one, I didn't want to be one of those guys. The second one, I wanted to earn the Germans' respect because they wouldn't give me the time of day, right? They're the best in the world, and they wouldn't even say hello to me, right? And I'm walking down the track, see some Germans working on a sled. Hey, Hans, how's it going? Nothing. I'm invisible. And that just confirmed in my mind that I don't belong here, right? And I just focused, I got to get World Cup. I was terrible. It wasn't until 2 years after my first Olympics, after the Calgary Olympics, it's like a memo went out. And I'm walking down the track, and this German, González, Speedy González, hey, how are you? And I got pissed off, man. I said, what's up with you, man? I've been nice to you guys for years now, and I'm Speedy González. He goes, come, we must talk to you. And they all get together, the whole team, the coaches, everybody. And they said, look, We got 4 tracks in a country the size of Texas. Okay. Back then, the only track in North America was, well, when I got started, it was just Lake Placid. Then they built Calgary, and you only build it when you have an Olympics because they're so expensive. But we got 4 tracks. So we decided. Remember, I said success is a decision. We decided we're going to be the best in this sport. We're gonna invest in it, and we're going to get good. We have all these luge clubs, and some of us started when we were 5, and we're the best in our town. And then we're the best in our region. Then we made the national team. 10 men and 10 women get to make the national team. That's for World Cup races. Then we made the Olympic team, right? Only 3 get to go to the Olympics.
Wow. Yeah.
And there's so many great losers from Germany. We'll be lucky to make 2 Olympics. But afterwards, you know what we're going to do? I don't know what. We're going to coach. We're going to coach for the rest of our lives. We dedicate our lives to the sport because that's what we do. And we're sick and tired of seeing people from other countries. They do 1 Olympics and they disappear. You know what we call them? I said, no, what? Olympic tourist, always with a little camera. But there's this 2 years after your first Olympics. Obviously, you're trying to make the Albertville Olympics. Whether you make it or not doesn't matter to us. What matters to us is you're respecting the sport. So you earn my respect.
Oh man, that's phenomenal.
Telling you that, man. I mean, that's my goal now, right? And so
that's got to feel good.
And then they said, you know what that's called? I said, that's called commitment, right?
Yeah.
And part of me was still thinking, these guys are a bunch of fanatics, man. They're absolutely right. I mean, you want to become known for your dream, okay?
Yeah.
Be known for that. You want to be hopping around all the time, and you're always a beginner because you never stick to anything.
Exactly.
Find one thing. Find something that pumps you up, and go for it. And man. So the second one was to gain the respect. The third one, my coach. I took a 7-year break. I was done, and my coach convinced me to come back. He says, it's going to be in the U.S. Olympic spirit's the best. You'll regret it if you don't go. And I don't regret anything. So I started training again. I made Salt Lake City. Now, Salt Lake, this is 10 years.
Let me stop you right there, Ruben, because you took 7 years off, you said, and just because he calls you up and says, hey, it's going to be you don't get no free pass. You still got to qualify, and you still got to work your butt off.
Yeah, hell yeah. And max out credit cards, too.
Because it ain't free. Yeah.
It ain't free. No. And so he had to call me 3 times. I mean, finally he convinced me. But so I started training, and I made Salt Lake. Yeah. But at Salt Lake, when I walked into the Olympic Village, I was 39, and I felt just like a dad feels when he's visiting his kids in college, because everybody else, all the other athletes, were in their 20s. Yeah. And to make it worse, everybody's asking me the same question. So, what are you coaching? I said, no, I'm an athlete. Come on, what are you coaching? I'm thinking, oh, great. Right? And so then I quit again, because that's when I started speaking professionally, and after 2002. Yep. And that's around the time we met. And then and then another 6 or 7 years later, around 6 years later, the business was running really well. It takes a good 4 to 6 years to build a business to where it's over the hump. And so I got bored. I needed a challenge. And I found out no one had ever competed in 4 Winter Olympics in 4 different decades. And I had already had Calgary in the 80s, Albertville in the 90s, Salt Lake City in the 2000s. If I made Vancouver 2010, I'd be the first one to do 4 Winter Olympics in 4 decades, right? That's pretty cool. Yeah. So I started training again, and I made that one. I was 47. And by then, now everybody thinks I'm coach's dad. And all the other coaches, they're on my side now. They're all saying, Ruben, do it for the old guys.
do it, right? Yeah.
Do it for the old guys. But yeah. So
now the Germans must really respect the heck out of you and love you even more. Yeah. It's like, this dude won't quit. He is the bulldog.
The bulldog grew up. Yeah. Yeah. Man. And our kids are the same way, because we teach them that. We teach them attitude. Teach them stick-to-itiveness. My kids, ever since they were little, I told them there's 2 rules with me. Okay. We homeschool them. Okay. We control the values around the house. Yeah. My wife does the schooling. I teach attitude and PE basically. But ever since they were little, I would tell them, look, life is tough. All right. Yeah. It's going to knock you down. I mean, you're going to have bloody knees sometimes, but you know what? We're no chihuahuas in this house. We're bulldogs. So what we're going to do? Pick yourself up, dust yourself off, back in the game, okay? Because that's,
Yeah.
you're tougher. You are tougher. Life is tough, but you are tougher. I believe in you, okay? If you need help, I'm here for you. I got your back, all right?
Yeah.
But don't, and so there's the main rules with my kids was no whining and no quitting, all right?
Yeah.
And they're both champs. They're both champs because you train them and you teach them that way.
Yeah, good for you, brother. Good for you, man. Hey, let's back up a little bit because, like you said, when I had first met you, it was like we were both like kind of starting out in the professional speaking world. And man, we've had some dinners together and talked about it. But it's growing a business, and like you said, and for me, like when I tell contractors, it seems to be like the magic numbers are 3, 5, 7, 9, 11. It takes 3 years just to even like figure out if you even have a chance at a business. It's like the first 3 years is just trying to figure everything out, even when you do all the right stuff and get the coaches and the this and the that, because it's just not easy, man. And I guess it shouldn't be, because you're hiring people. And even though you read all the books or you got some coach that tells you how to hire and train and stuff, it's still, you got to go through the freaking, they can tell you all about like luging down the ice, but until you've luged down the ice 100 times, and figure it out for yourself, it doesn't matter what you read or who tells you about it. You got to go through it. And that's what those first 3 years are. And then like the next 3 years is like, now you kind of like, you've learned the curve. And those first 3 years, that's what it really, like you said, you do some things, you take some bruises, you take some punches, but you can't quit because you're the owner of the business, or you have to go back and get a job, and that ain't for nobody, but then you start to figure out the track.
We're highly
exactly. But then you're trying to, and I always say it's like 6 steps forward, 4 steps back, 6 steps forward, 4 steps back. But it's like, so what's it like starting your business? Like, because you didn't have a book in the beginning. When did you write your first book? What was it, The Courage to Succeed?
Yeah, and it's been translated to 10 languages, and altogether, I've sold over 300,000 books. I mean, it's crazy.
That is,
not bad for a guy who made C's in English. But Robert Kiyosaki. Somebody made fun of him at one point. I don't know which book I read this at, but Robert Kiyosaki, the guy who read Rich Dad Poor Dad.
Yep, love it.
Rich Dad Poor Dad. They were making fun of him that it wasn't written very well. The English wasn't very good. And he says, I'd rather be a bestseller, okay, than be the best grammar.
Yeah.
Business.
Oh man, and his books have helped so many people, just like the ones that you've written now. It's like you touch people in different ways in 10 languages. Do you speak 10 languages, Ruben?
No.
So you've got these books that are like, you're looking at your own.
That's about it.
Yeah. You got to be looking at your own book going, I hope that's right. I hope.
I know. That's right. It was cool. So that translated awful.
Because now you've traveled the world speaking to different groups.
I was selling, I was selling copiers in Houston. And I
Yeah.
always wanted to have my own business, but I never really pursued it, right?
Yeah.
And then this kid, right before the Salt Lake City Olympics, he asked me, hey, when you get back from the Olympics, will you be my show and tell project in school? So I go, and I figured show and tell, right? 5 minutes, right? Because everybody's showing something. So I thought, piece of cake. Well, I'm going to win. I'm finally going to get my medal. I'm going to kick these little kids. Right? I'm competitive. I want to win.
Yeah, I'm going to
I don't apologize for it.
Take no prisoners.
No prisoners, baby. I took the sled, the helmet, the Olympic torch. I thought, no prisoners. Well, the principal takes me to this big room. There's 200 kids sitting there. He says, you got 45 minutes. Have at them.
Whoa.
And they turned it into an assembly, but they didn't tell me. And that door looked so good. I almost ran out, man. I'm serious. And I said a little prayer. I said, God, what do I do now? It's called the desperation prayer. And what I felt I needed to do was just tell them your story, give them some pointers how they can reach their goals and dreams.
Yeah.
And I did. And afterwards, on the way to the car, the principal was going nuts. It's like, man, you got a gift. You're better than people we pay. You need to do this for a living. That part got my attention. And I said, what? You get paid for show and tell? He goes, no. I was clueless.
Yeah.
And so, but he was so in my face that he got me thinking about it. For about 3 days, I'm thinking about it. And on the third day, I thought, you know what? If I can sell a copier, I can sell a Ruben too. I quit my job, which I don't recommend. We had a 1-year-old daughter. My wife's a full-time mom. and I go and quit my job, right?
Wow.
No income and no health insurance. I mean, Mama was not happy that day. But I thought I can do this. And I just started hitting the phones, right? I mean, there's 700 schools in Houston. I was calling the principal, the president of the PTA, the counselor, everybody. That's all I knew. I just spoke at a school. I guess you speak at schools. I didn't know anything about the business. And I didn't know what to charge. I knew nothing. And so February, I'm at the Olympics. March, April, May, I'm living the dream. I'm speaking all over the place. I was charging $100, $200, $500 for an assembly, right? I had no clue.
Whatever they'll give you.
Yeah, they give me. They're getting a 3-time Olympian right after the Olympics for a couple of $100. I mean, God,
that's a bargain. That's
a bargain. Yeah, but I was making as much or a little bit more than I did selling copiers. So life is good. But then comes June, July, and August. School's out and zero, right?
Wow.
3 months. We're at the end by August. I mean, at that point, we're $50,000 in credit card debt, right? That's what it took to get there.
Man.
Right?
Yeah.
And now I got no income, and friends and family, they're tapped out. They've been tapped out years ago, right?
Yeah.
And so 3 months.
They caller ID. They see Ruben calling. They don't even answer.
Don't answer that one.
He's going to more money.
He wants something. And so by August, we're on food stamps. We're 3 months behind our house payment. Came that close to losing the house. Shot our credit. Right, top of the world in February and humbled big time by August. And that's when I realized, oh my gosh, I tell everybody to find a coach or a mentor. I'm not even taking my own advice, right? It took all that for me to click, right? And so I realized I got to find somebody. I can tell stories, but I got to find somebody who can teach me the business side of this.
Exactly. Because you had the trade.
Right.
You mastered the trade.
In a restaurant. No, don't.
No, exactly. Just because you're a cook.
You can make good lasagna. You should have an Italian restaurant. Don't do that. And so, but that was me. And so I found out about this thing called National Speakers Association. And they had a chapter in Houston. They had about 50 members. So I go to a meeting. And I realized right away, I'd been in Amway back in the 90s for about 10 years. And in Amway, the front couple of rows of the room were the people that were making it happen. Everybody else was just like, weren't doing anything, right? They were just eternal learners. I go to this meeting, and I realized out of these 50 people, there's about 2 or 3 that are making it happen. It's the same numbers, right? All the other ones, they've been members, card holding members forever, but they hadn't done much with it. And so I found one of the 2 I liked, right? The other one was bad, bad flags, right? But the one and so I went up to him and says, hey, will you be my mentor? And he says, I'm not taking any mentees. And this is a big old tough guy like my old Austrian coach, okay? I mean, I'm such a hard head. All my coaches are mean and tough. And so this guy, tough and mean. He was a copier salesman. He'd been in the business for 12 years speaking, and he lived in a mansion. He had fruit on the trees. You want your mentor to have fruit on the trees, not a theorist. Somebody's actually done it. Right? Well, I'm not taking any mentees. See all these people? I'm tired of wasting time trying to teach them because they won't do anything. I only had one guy that ever did even the first thing that I teach everybody, and he even quit after 6 months. And what? Well, what's the first thing? He says, I tell everybody to join Toastmasters. They have this program where it takes about a year. You do these 10 speeches, and afterwards you get this little certificate. It's like boot camp, right? You pass the first level, right? You're private first class now of speaking. And this guy, man, he must have been really hungry because he did it in 6 months. I didn't know you do it in 6 months. I said, okay, well, I'll see you in a few months, right? I assumed the sale, right? I didn't ask. Okay, I'll see you in a couple of months. Well, I went and I joined 4 Toastmasters. I joined every chapter in Houston. I told my wife, you're probably not going to see me nights, but I got to take care of something. Wrong way to go about it, guys, okay? Anyway. But I joined 4 Toastmasters. I got my 10 talks in 2 months, right? I got my little paper and everything back. I couldn't stand Toastmasters. It's great program, great leadership stuff, but man, they got these little clickers. Whenever you say or
I got the bell. Ding, ding.
It's driving crazy. It's like speech Nazis, right? And so I probably ummed 20 million times in my keynotes, but I'm making more than they are.
Yeah, so exactly.
But anyway, so I went and I got my little certificate, and I go over to his house, and I just toss it on his desk. I said, "There, man. I'm hungry. I'll do, man. If you tell me I need to shave my head and wear a lipstick, make this thing happen, we'll do it right now. I'll make you proud."
Wow. Yeah.
Right. And he goes, "Okay, here's what you're going to do. You take me out to lunch once a month. You got me for 60 minutes. If you're smart, you're going to bring a pad with some questions, right? So you don't waste any time.
Yeah.
I'll answer all your questions. At the end, I'm going to give you some homework, an assignment. If we ever meet and you haven't done last month's assignment, it's over. Okay. Because I want action people." And I said, "Hey, sounds good, but I'm on food stamps. I can't buy you lunch. Tell you what, we'll meet at Starbucks. You can have anything on the menu as long as it's coffee of the day. You can put as much sugar in as you want." We do it there. And he said, "All right, fine." So we meet. First time, he goes, "I don't care if you're a 10-time Olympian. Unless you write a book, no one's going to take you seriously, because an author is considered the authority of his subject. He wrote the book on it." Okay. He's going on and on about the book. And I go, "Man, I can't write a book. I made C's in English. Okay. My parents celebrated. I brought any C." He goes, "You got a great story. You write it down, and you write it down like you're writing your friend or your best friend a letter. That kind of English, right? Don't try to be fancy. And then we just give it to some A students. They clean it up for you. That's just grammar." I thought, wow, I didn't think about that. He goes, "Yeah, it's called editing. Okay, so shut up and sit down." I mean, you just bash me out in speaking business. So that was the courage to succeed, because I listened to my mentor. I wrote that book. That's, it's opened up doors all over the place. And so get this, guys. Here's the beauty of having a mentor. A mentor, the right mentor, right?
Yeah.
You have all these logical reasons that assure you that you're not cut out to do what you have to do. But the mentor says, "No, piece of cake. Just find an A student to clean it up for you. What's your next problem?" See?
Yeah.
So that's your mountain guide. Okay. I climbed Kilimanjaro. I live in Houston. It's not even
it's as flat as can be.
Kili is a mile higher than anything in the Rocky Mountains. And so we hired a guy that had climbed it about 100 times. He climbed Mount Everest. And he had fruit on the trees. And he told us it's going to take 5 days to do this. We'll start at 5,000 feet, and we'll end up like at 19,000 feet. For the next 5 days, you step where I step. You sit when I sit. You eat when I eat. You drink when you pee when I pee. Okay. I mean, and if you have any discomfort, things get bad really quickly at altitude. Okay. So if something's bothering you, don't wait till it hurts. Let me know, because I've seen it all. I can nip it in the bud. Right.
Yeah.
So I'm not a mountain climber. I'm a mountain follower. Right. But I got this from Africa. So you don't know what you don't know. But your mentor probably does.
And I love what you said too, is with the mentor, the coach, whatever it is, make sure they got fruit on the tree, make sure they've done something. It's so frustrating. As great as the internet is, it's just as bad. There's so many people who haven't accomplished anything, yet they're trying to sell programs or their coachings, and they haven't done anything. And I try to warn these guys, it's like, man, you got to do your research. Quit giving these guys money and taking bad advice. Not only are you going to go broke giving them money, but you're going to go even worse, is you're going to go out of business listening to someone who's never done it, because they're reading the books or watching the videos and just telling you what they've seen.
They're giving a book report.
And it's like because it's frustrating as all can be. And because imagine if you had went with one of the people sitting in the back of the room at NSA. To where they haven't done anything. They read some books. You wouldn't be the Ruben that you are right now.
Hell no. So that's all I do, guys, and I'm still learning. Okay, you got to be green and growing. Okay, because as soon as you think you made it, you start rotting. Okay, you get ripe and rotting. No, you got to be green and growing forever. And open-minded. And that's some of the things I talk about in this book that I'm writing. Right, it's about this young exec, 27-year-old who saw.
Is that the shortcut?
The shortcut, yeah. I'll send you the PDF of the manuscript. I think you're gonna love it.
Oh man, I love what I'm hearing right now. It's great.
27-year-old guy. He runs a region of this IT company, one of 5 regions, And
Yeah.
he's always in last place, even though he's got 2 MBAs, and he looks good on paper, but he's a hardhead, right? And he won't listen. And so his boss sends him to this cafe where all these people he knows, these buddies of his, are going to teach him how to listen, right? And hopefully turn him around. And it's based loosely based on that TED talk I did, because I was that guy. Okay.
Yeah.
That hard-headedness and that perseverance and tenacity, they got me through those early years of breaking bones and kept me coming back and staying in the game long enough to learn. That hard-headedness also kept me from accepting. Coaches. I wouldn't listen to my coaches through my first 3 Olympics. They would tell me something, and I would. Eventually, I would, but I would always have doubt. It's like I always had, me wouldn't letting go, right? And so one of my coaches said, "Man, you're not bulldog. You're half bulldog and half mule, man. If you'd have just listened to us, you wouldn't have broken nearly as many bones." But it wasn't until the road to my 4th Olympics, when I was so much older than everybody else, and then only before the top 50 men got to make it. Okay, and I was always about 45 in the world, so if I was healthy, I could make it. But Vancouver, I was going to be 47, and only the top 40 were going to go, so I was going to be a stretch. And that's when I made a decision. Hey, I got my back up to the wall. Whatever coach says, I'm going to do right away, right?
Yeah.
And I was able to. On the way to Vancouver, I improved faster than I ever have before. And then later, 7 years after Vancouver, I was 55. I went back, and I was sliding better at 55 than I was ever before, right? Because
what do you contribute that to? Just listening, or just what?
Mental toughness, listening faster, listening right away, man. That makes that learning curve go like a rocket, right?
Yeah.
And so automatically, not questioning, you just do it. You do it, right? Because because your coaches are champions, right? You're not following, you're not like a lemming following some charlatan. So I attributed it to that, right? And I became the oldest person to compete internationally in the sport of luge.
Man, that's
I went to Calgary when I was 55. I took my 25-year-old sled. I went in October, and I was sliding pretty well, right? And coach said, hey, why don't you come back in December? And I just went on a whim, right? I just wanted to see if my old body could even handle the G-forces. Coach said, why don't you come back in December? There's a World Cup race, see if you can qualify. Yeah. Well, I got my 25-year-old sled. I showed up with that. But sled technology, the sleds are gotten a lot faster. In fact, everyone was laughing. They said, man, that thing belongs to a museum, not a World Cup race. I said, hey, this is what I got. I'm going all this. Well, even though I've got hundreds of runs at that track, in order to qualify for the race, I was going to have to beat my personal best by 0.2 of a second, which is a lot of time in this sport. And we started doing some things, and we were able to do it. In fact, just if you're listening to this, if you're liking it, just watch that Follow the Leader TEDtalk.com. It's a 12-hour talk. I tell the story how I finally let go and decided to follow the leader, and everything changed. Okay. Wow. So when I speak professionally, for 20 years, my main goal is I want to be the audience's Scott Hamilton, right? I want to take away their excuses. I want them walking out of there thinking, I don't want them thinking, oh, Ruben's so great. No, I want them thinking this. If that guy can make it to the Olympics even one time, I can do anything. That's what they're thinking. I did my job. Yeah.
Oh man. Hey, Ruben, it's already been an hour. Can you believe that? It feels like it's been a couple of minutes already. We could we should do this again for sure. Because there's other stories I want you to share with us, like because you even did doubles. You did doubles luge.
Yeah, with Pablo. Pablo's in my book. All my coaches are in the book, right? I mean, Why don't you? I'll send it to you in a little bit. You read it, and then in a few weeks we can do another one. And you'll have some cool questions out of that book.
Man, and I want you to share that book and stuff. And I put a link in here, but to your website. Are all your books on the website?
Go to Amazon. It's better because especially
Amazon.
If you're in Canada, man, please don't order a book from me. All right? Because
because it's the shipping and stuff is crazy.
Yeah, you can get them there. You can get them
Yeah,
there.
because I'll go to Amazon. I'll grab the link and I'll post it in here. But man, Ruben, I just want to again say thank you so much for spending this hour with us, even longer. Last thoughts. Some guy starting his business right now. You already shared what you had to go through. Food stamps. You still didn't give up. And that's what I say is like you just got to keep going and got a contractor right now, just like the guy that just said he just moved to a new city, whatever. So he's struggling, whatever. What's the one thing you want to share before we get off?
You know, you get to a point where you got so much invested in it. The more you invest in your business, and I'm not just talking dollars. I'm talking about energy and guts and sweat and tears. You know, the more you have invested in a dream, the harder it is to quit. Right. So give it everything you got and surround yourself with those winners. And anybody that makes fun of you or laughs at you or cast out, disassociate with those people. Okay.
Yeah.
And if they're in your family, right? If it's Bob at, Uncle Bob, you got to see every Thanksgiving and he makes fun of your dream, then you know what? A dreamer, a non-dreamer will never be understood, or a dreamer will never be understood by a non-dreamer. Okay, we're different animals. We're just different animals. Entrepreneurs are different. And so he is that Uncle Bob. He is he doesn't want to talk to you, okay, because he knows you're just going to talk about your business and how excited you are. He doesn't want, because it makes him feel bad, right?
Yeah,
because he
exactly.
didn't have the guts to do what you did, right?
Yeah.
So don't talk to him about that. Talk to him about what he's interested in. Maybe it's deer hunting, maybe it's bowling, maybe whatever he's into. Just talk to him about that. Don't even mention the business, because why? And then you both leave friends, right? Better than you were last year. It'll be a better thing.
Yeah, because like you said, as a dreamer, a non-dreamer is never going to understand a dreamer. I want to finish. I want to before we quit I want to just irradiate is like you said, one dream leads to another dream, which is just I want people to really get that, because in the beginning, man, you take in these baby steps and you don't even think you don't even know what you can do right now, because your imagination you just holds you back. And then you said too was like, I will until. Man, I think everybody should paint that on their wall and see it everywhere they go, because it's like you're the bulldog. It's like man, you were looking for a sport so tough everybody would quit. Yeah,
quitting is not an option. See that Norwegian flag right there, right there.
Oh, yep. I see it.
Red, white, and blue one. Okay.
Yep.
I got Norwegian. I got one up there. I got one next to my Nespresso machine that I see every morning. Okay, you know why?
Why is that? Because you're not from Norwegian.
No, I'm from Argentina. That's the other end.
Yeah.
Top 40, we're going to get to go to Vancouver.
Yeah.
The qualification ends at New Year's, right? And the Olympics are in February, a couple of months later. So they tally up all the races for the last 2 years, and top 40 get to go. 41 watching on TV. I was 42. Okay. I didn't qualify. So all of January, I'm training at the second fastest track in the world, because Vancouver's the fastest. So I thought I got to prepare myself, right? I got to be ready if the opportunity presents itself, right? Because somebody could break a leg. He's out. Okay, now I'm 41. I need 2 people to break their legs, or an appendicitis in their leg. But if that happens, I better be ready, right? Otherwise, it ain't gonna be good. Well, 6 weeks before the Olympics, I'm still going for it. In fact, I'm speaking for this group of salespeople, a sales kickoff. And I told them, you know what? If you believe that something's going to happen, you jump and the net will appear. Okay?
Yeah.
You know what I believe? I believe I'll be in the Olympics in 6 years. You know what I did up in my hotel room before I came to talk to you guys? I bought 4 non-refundable tickets on purpose for my wife, myself, and our kids to Vancouver. Non-refundable, because I believe, right? And I got a golf clap that day, right? They thought, this guy's nuts, all right? He must have cracked his head last time he had a crash, right? They're not buying into it. They don't believe as much as me. And so I go back to my hotel room, open up my laptop. There's a message that says, you made it. Norway decided not to send their 3 guys. They had 3 guys in the top 40, but Norway, they've won more Winter Olympic medals than any other country, even though they just have 4 million people, right? They go to win. So if you're from Norway, Norway won't send you unless you're top 20. Okay, they go to win. And so those 3 guys, they weren't top 20. You got bumped up to 39. And so I'm a 4-time Olympian thanks to a little help from Norway. The
Wow.
opening ceremonies, I won't carry the Norwegian flag, man. They have me more than anybody. I got those flags there to keep me from getting a fat head. You can't do it alone. You got to have a little luck too, right? But you got to buy those non-refundable tickets, though. You got to.
That's it, man. We're gonna leave it and finish it with that, man. Ladies and gentlemen, it's been an honor having Ruben. Ruben, again, thank you. It's been another episode of Dominate Your Trade. Brian Adams here, the contractor's contractor. We'll do it again next week, guys.